The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan. I'm Lindsay DeLucia. Today we're going to be talking about developing leaders within our community and what's being done to make that happen. And right now I'm here with Jackie Krawczak, the President and CEO of the Alpena Chamber of Commerce. Jackie, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit. I know that this is one of the main goals of the Chamber is taking the youth within our community and really making them leaders to lead their generation within our area. So tell me why this is a goal of the Chamber.
Well, it's been a goal of ours for a couple of years now, and what we know from studies and what we know from experience is that it's much easier and more effective to develop leaders from within a community than to try and expect to bring leaders into a community. And so we've really focused on developing not only leaders from within our youth and develop them into leaders for the community, but also leaders from within our existing businesses, and so they become the next community leaders and the next leaders for their organizations. And it's just very important to us. We know that we always have to have a new generation of leaders upcoming, and without developing them, you don't know if you'll get what the community really needs. So we're really focused on making sure we get what we need.
So how do you give these kids the motivation, in their developing years to make this a habit, kind of, and get them into that leadership mindset?
Well, we do a lot of different things, but it's not just the Chamber. There's a lot of organizations, and I know you'll talk to a couple others in the community, but it's really giving the resources to the organizations who are already doing this and to the school systems. And one of the ways that we've contributed to developing youth as leaders is we host a LeaderCast event every year, and we open up a certain number of tickets to students, and we allow them to not only get value from the material in the program, but I think the most valuable part for them at that event is actually interacting with our current and future adult leaders at the time. And just watching that interaction happen is really exciting. Those students often come back and they ask if they can help us with things. They want to volunteer for things. They create relationships with other people that are there. And that's what's really valuable, is setting up those mentorships. And so we try and play that role not only at that event, but also moving forward, is creating mentorships for the youth.
Yeah, so tell me a little more about the LeaderCast. It's a huge thing nationwide, not just here, and a lot of people might not know about that. So tell me some of the people you had speak this year and the success that it was this year.
Well, it blends together. I don't know what people have spoken at each particular one, because we've been doing it for so long, but the event is a live broadcast from Atlanta, Georgia. It's speakers that we would not be able to afford to bring, nor would we have the facility to bring them here to Alpena. And so we're able to live broadcast this event. It's an entire day event in the spring of each year, and we're one of over 700 host sites for it. It's a success every year. We have 100 to 200 people that attend, plus the students, and there'll be speakers like we had Tim Tebow was speaking one year. Dave Ramsey typically speaks every year. Lots of different authors. Seth Godin spoke a couple different years. And it's just their lessons for leaders. And it's really practical, hands-on advice. So people leave that day feeling very motivated, very excited to take the things they learn and put it into practice in their own lives.
And you did mention a little bit about it's not only the youths that we need to talk to leadership about. It could also be done within businesses and with local leaders in our community businesses. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, definitely, especially from our perspective. So we want to support the folks that are out there getting our youth more leadership experience. But for us, it's also, and maybe our first priority is creating more leaders from within our businesses. If we don't have the next generation of leaders ready to take the businesses over when the time comes, or to be community leaders, then our community will really struggle in a lot of different ways. Too often we see businesses that, maybe they're locally owned and they get to the end of where they really want to retire and they have no succession plan. Well, we really need to develop leaders that can take those things over and grow them. And so we still have these successful, thriving businesses. We also need people to become community leaders. And so it comes down to the businesses allowing their employees to engage in leadership training and to really become more than what their position is. And so we try to offer the resources, but at the end of the day, it's up to the businesses to allow their employees to do that.
And what kind of resources is it that you talk about with the Chamber offering these businesses?
Well, other than the LeaderCast event, we're starting something new next year, which I'll talk about in just a second. But we also try to incorporate leadership into just little bits of leadership information into all of our emails that we send out. We send a weekly email. So we include articles in there, which are very well read and have a high click-through rate. We also incorporate in our Good Morning Alpena events. We try and do a couple minutes of some kind of leadership training. And the goal is to have something that just sparks somebody's interest, so they end up following up with that and looking more into it. And if we can get just one person out of everything we do, that is success to us. But the one thing that we're doing next year and we'll be rolling out is something called conscious capitalism. And so it's the thought that your business exists more than just to make money for whatever product or service you sell. So a business, the example that is kind of well known is a carpet company that is now dominating the industry actually, because they said there is so much waste in carpet. There's so much use of natural resources that we want to become 100% use of recycled material by whatever their deadline was. And because they took this vision or this mission greater than themselves, they've become the most successful business in their industry. And so that is creating businesses as leaders, but also leaders within the businesses to do that sort of thing. So we'll be rolling out a program and working with other chambers of commerce across the state to teach businesses about conscious capitalism.
And I know that the college's emphasis is huge on developing leaders there and also keeping them in our community, and I feel like that's a challenge that they face. How do you see a solution to that?
That is a challenge, and we don't necessarily think we have to keep people here. What we want them to do is come back. So we would love to develop very successful people, send them out, send students out, go to college, get some experience, stay here if they want to, but definitely come back and think of Alpena as their ultimate home someday, where they want to raise their family and become the next community leaders. And I don't think anybody's really come up with the perfect solution to that, but all we can do is keep tracking the people from Alpena, sending them invites, sending them information, encouraging them to come back on holidays or for vacations, and encouraging them to come back and explore the opportunities here.
Of course. Well, we really appreciate all the information, and we of course always appreciate the chamber working towards completing this goal. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And coming up next, we'll be speaking with Matt Mushinsky, who's with the Youth Volunteer Corps, to tell us more about how they are incorporating the youth within developing leadership here. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back to Insights into Northeast Michigan, everyone. I'm Lindsay DeLucia. Today we're talking about developing leadership within our community, and we spoke with Jackie Krawczak, the CEO and president of the Alpena Chamber of Commerce. Right now we're going to be speaking with Matt Mushinsky, the director at the Youth Volunteer Corps here in Alpena that also works in conjunction with the Boys and Girls Club, correct?
Yep.
Great. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell me a little bit about the background of the Youth Volunteer Corps and how it came into existence.
Well, the Youth Volunteer Corps started back in 1993. Alpena Community College was looking for volunteer opportunities, and they heard about the model of YVC, and they started an advisory board. And actually, when I was 13, I was actually on that advisory board, and so to come full circle and be the director of the program is pretty neat.
Absolutely. I mean, you're kind of exactly the example that Jackie was just talking about a little bit before. You learned all of these things within the Youth Volunteer Corps, now you're the leader of that. So how does that feel to take everything you learned from it and kind of incorporate it into today's use?
Oh, it's an incredible feeling. It's humbling. The Boys and Girls Club of Alpena is such an amazing youth-serving organization, and we provide so many opportunities for the kids to have leadership roles, and it might be just having some teens run some programming in the gym with the younger kids, and all the way up to the kids developing projects and programs to help serve the community.
And you guys are incorporating a lot of new programs into your system. The guest volunteer program, how's that going? Explain that a little bit to me.
Well, we decided that we needed people in our area to know more about Youth Volunteer Corps, and so we decided that if we could get some local community leaders that could buy in and really be a part of the program, work alongside the kids, people could see that it's something that's working. And what better way to learn about leadership from your own local leadership community? And so it's going very well so far.
And you had people like Mayor Matt Walagora, right?
Yep.
And so how did that go? You know, the kids seeing the mayor of their town and then seeing Jackie, who I know was also a volunteer who we just spoke with. Were they motivated, inspired?
Matt was very humbled. He let me know that he was very humbled by the experience, and he didn't quite realize how hard the kids worked. And he said he was probably going to have to take some Motrin after he was done. Jackie was wonderful, and she talked with the kids afterwards just about what she thought of the project, and she was very proud to have been a part of that. And the kids were awestruck. I mean, it's not very often that these kids get an opportunity to work next to the mayor or the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, and so they thought it was a really big deal, and it was pretty great.
Yeah. Tell me about some of the other projects that you guys do with the kids.
Oh, we go all over the place. We go to Turning Brook, and we play games and do trivia, eat food, hang out with the residents from Turning Brook. We go to, today we're actually going to the Alpena Child Care Center and helping them build their playground. And it goes all over the place. I mean, we have our hands now in a lot of places.
And how have you seen getting the kids out there in the community has made a difference, rather than, you know, a kid can be a leader in school, you can be involved in a lot within their grade and their education, but what do you think the difference is getting out there in the community and interacting with these people?
Well, they're giving back to Alpena, you know, and what Jackie had talked about earlier about, you know, the kids that people go off to college and then getting them to come back. Well, if you start them early and you get them really loving Alpena and buying into Alpena, they're going to want to come back and lead, and they're going to want to do the things that Jackie was talking about.
And how long have you been with the Youth Volunteer Corps?
Well, I've been in this position now for 2.5 years, but my heart's always been in it, and so I've been with the Boys and Girls Club for 6 years now.
And have you seen certain kids come through the program who have just flourished in the community, come back into the community and really used those skills to lead?
Yep, and it happens more often than we probably realize. Just because of the way life works, we kind of lose track of kids sometimes that have gone to college, and then all of a sudden you're in the mall, or you're at one of the stores, you're walking down the street and you bump into them, and you know, they say a couple nice things about what we did for them, or what they did for us too. So,
if you could pick maybe one mission or one main goal of the Youth Volunteer Corps to send these kids off with, what do you think it would be?
They have a servant's heart to care for other people in a way that you're not expecting things to come in return, and to grow new leaders, and to grow an attitude that giving back to your community is the right thing to do, not the cool thing to do, but the right thing to do.
And I think it's a really interesting dynamic, someone in your position interacting with the kids who volunteer. It's more than just like a teacher position or a parent or a guardian or something like that. You have to almost be friends with these kids and establish a really interesting relationship. So tell me about that and how you do that.
Well, I'm a kid at heart, and probably our maturity levels are around the same age. But you know, you gotta put yourself in their shoes. You know, these kids are yearning for something. They want to be a part of something, and so a lot of the times it becomes like a mentorship role. It becomes a leadership role for these kids, and then some of them don't have that. You know, whether it's at home, anywhere, and so we become that at the Boys and Girls Club and YBC. We become those people that they're looking to be a part of. And I enjoy doing it. I can't, there are days, I know my boss says, well, you can turn your paycheck in, but I'd say that I can't believe I get paid to do this.
Yeah.
And he says, you can donate it if you like. So.
Well, not only do you enjoy it, but you've clearly been doing a great job. I know you were just honored with an award this week, so tell me about that.
We were at the YVC conference in Ann Arbor, and they named me the 2015 YVC Program Director of the Year. And it was exceptionally humbling to be to have that honor. And it doesn't happen though if I don't have such amazing people I work with at the club. And Brad Summers and Jennifer Digna took YVC to the next level, and they laid the foundation for a really great program. And it's like getting handed the keys to a Ferrari. You don't want to mess it up. And so, but it was pretty great. The kids were crying. I was crying. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. The kids bombarded me up front, and it was pretty wild.
Yeah, it sounds like. And is this an award that's statewide?
No, it's the YVC program as a whole, in basically North America.
Okay, so that's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's a pretty big deal.
Well, congratulations. We're really happy for you, and thank you so much for being here and giving us this great information.
Awesome. Thank you so much for letting me come.
Of course. And coming up next, we'll be speaking with Wade Yoakum from the Habitat for Humanity Northeast Michigan to talk about how they incorporate this as well. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back to Insights into Northeast Michigan, everyone. Today we're talking about leadership within our community and how to develop those leaders, both youth and within businesses. So right now I'm here with Wade Yoakum, who is with the Habitat for Humanity Northeast Michigan. So thanks so much, Wade, for joining us.
Thanks.
And just tell me a little bit first about Habitat. How long have you guys been around? What's your main goal been? And how long you've been with them?
Well, we've been in Northeast Michigan for 25 years. We just had our 25th anniversary, and we're in Alpena, Alcona, and Presque counties. I've been on the team here as the executive director for about 9 months, and I was a board member for 5 years. So pretty excited about the future in these 3 counties.
Absolutely, and you guys do a whole lot, but volunteers are a main part of your business. So tell me how you acquire volunteers and who you see come through the program.
This year we've been doing what's called Volunteer Wednesdays, and so we have people that show up at our restore at 10 o'clock, and then they get sent out on our projects. But we love volunteers. I think the volunteer piece is one of the things that we do well, and we cannot help families in need. We can't provide decent, affordable housing without volunteers, without the labor. So you think about almost 80 projects over the last 25 years in these 3 counties, and they would not have been able to provide homes and hope for these folks without that volunteer piece. And we have youth volunteers, and just what we've been talking about is that if people volunteer before age 18, they're more likely to volunteer as adults because it gives something outside of themselves. It gets them out of their comfort zone, and what happens is as they serve somebody, it provides such a positive benefit to yourself. It provides some purpose in life, and so when you're volunteering for a Habitat family, it's almost like you're getting as much as you're putting into these homes. And so we use skilled volunteers and unskilled volunteers. We have all kinds of projects on these homes. And just recently we had Chemical Bank come on their day off. They had Columbus Day off, and they sent a crew over, and they were awesome. I mean, they worked hard all day long. They had a good time being together, and it was like a bonding experience for their group. And they helped this individual, this lady out, just blessed her because they were able to do so much just in one day.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. You talked about your youth volunteer program, but you do see so many more people from the community come in. And I mean, I've been out there on your job sites with you guys, and there's just people of all ages volunteering, learning from each other, and especially with Chemical Bank coming out. I mean, that's a local business taking that leadership role on and volunteering their time. So how do you think that impacts other businesses within our community, and what example does that set?
Yeah, Alpena is a great place to live because we have, it's just such a helping place. And so, we've had groups from Lafarge come, and again, and Lynn Energy come, and again, there's these skilled workers, and so they can crank it out in one day. And it's provides the company and provides those volunteers with this altruism, and it's this positive thing that they're building into our community. And we do live in such a great place, and it's such a beautiful place, and to provide kind of this positive feedback into someone else's lives, again, you get so much more than you give.
Absolutely. And how do you think this impacts the homeowners that you guys are helping out? I mean, they see these volunteers all around them and helping them out with their futures. Do you think it also kind of puts this inspiration of leadership onto them?
Yes, a number of our homeowners, over the years, they want to give back to either future homeowners, or they just are good people that are in our communities, and it changes their lives. It sets them on a new trajectory, and so it's this positive thing, just kind of paying it forward, and we see it happen time and time again.
Absolutely. You can tell it's just kind of a string of events that leads on to one another helping each other out. It's a really great thing. And as for you guys, as for Habitat, what have you seen in your time there within the business and within the employees that you have taking those steps into leading the others who are coming out to volunteer?
I see what we do is, like, again, the volunteer piece is something that we do well. I mean, we usually, when Matt's group shows up, we give them pizza, and all of our volunteers get a Habitat t-shirt, so you get something to take home with you that says, you worked and you served. But again, it's more what happens on the inside, in your heart and in your head, that you are changing somebody's life. And that's really what these homes do. And we're not giving away homes, but we are providing affordable, decent housing. And so it pulls somebody out of a cycle of maybe poverty or of a struggle, and it puts them on a plane where they can be successful, and it gives some stability, and even specifically for their children, it gives just a real strong footing for them to go forward on. So we see children doing better in school, and we see them going on to college, and you see this just, again, it just pays it forward in a huge way.
And so how would you suggest continuing this trend in the community, continuing to build leaders, whether it be through volunteering, just through stepping up into businesses, to make that really a goal here in the community?
I know a lot of businesses will pay their employees to volunteer. I think Starbucks, that's one of their values, is moving forward, that they want their volunteers, their employees to volunteer. But I specifically think that, that the younger people start volunteering, the more likely they are to include that as part of their values going into life. And then I would say for adults is that just step out of your comfort zone and be involved in something bigger than yourself. And the positive you receive is just awesome. And we want to live in a community where people want to be here, and we want to live in a place where people are community minded, and that's really important part of volunteering. And just thinking outside of yourself and outside of your own family. And we have several homes that we're working on right now that we're looking for folks to come out and help us on Wednesdays, and we got them ready to go right now in the hopper, just looking for folks to join us as we meet the needs of these families.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in doing that, how can they get involved?
You can go on our website and fill out the volunteer application. You can show up at the Restore at 10 o'clock, and you'll get sent out on a project.
Okay, great. Well, Habitat for Humanity is hands down a leading organization here in our community, so celebrating 25 years and hopefully many more to come here. So thanks so much, Wade, for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for tuning in to Insights into Northeast Michigan. Tune in next week where you will hear more about some issues going on in our community. Thanks so much.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.
The furniture and set design for this episode of Insights is provided by Young Appliance Art Van Furniture on US 23 South, Alpena.